Bonjour et bienvenue au Club Français. Welcome back to French Club, la deuxième semaine. That is our second week. I hope you enjoyed the first week. Please do make sure that you comment with any questions or any difficulties or any comments at all that you have about what we're doing, and I will adapt it according to your preferences and needs each week. Okay, so let's have a look at what we're going to do today. First of all, pratiquons un peu plus. Shall we practice a little bit more what we did last week? I think we should before we move on to anything else. And c'est une très bonne idée. It is a very good idea. Okay, so without further ado, let's remind ourselves of the sentence builder that we used last week. Okay, so here is our sentence builder again, the same one that we saw last week. So this week we're going to spend more time practicing our skills and our vocabulary around this sentence builder. So you can always refer back to this. This has been published on the Google Classroom as an individual file so that you can have it in front of you, you can print it, you can have it on a different window so that you can refer back to it at all times. I have also published the bigger numbers. If you remember from last week, at the end of the video there are some bigger numbers so that those of you who are joining in with people who are older than 15 are able to make sure that they are included as well. Okay, so let's just have a little recap on some of these funny sounds. Remember, this isn't a j, this is je. Okay, my turn, je, your turn. Okay, this one's quite straightforward, m'appelle. Okay, then we've got mon frère. Okay, if we can get a nice little guttural sound with our R's often, then we're going to sound more French. Mon frère, your turn. Okay, and then that doesn't happen at the end of the word, it only happens when the R is in the middle of the word. So ma sœur, your turn. Good. Okay, right, what about this little word here? Is it et or is it a? It's a. Excellent, très bien. Et, my turn, your turn. Then we're moving on. This strange I have for the number of years that we are. Okay, so remember they say I have, we say I am. Okay, however, the way to say I have is j'ai. Your turn. Lovely. And then we've got il a if we're saying he is or has, and elle a if we're saying she is or has. Okay, so il a, your turn. Elle a, your turn. Lovely. Now let's just go through these numbers together, shall we? So count along with me. Pause the video afterwards. Return if you needed to revise any of those sounds. But we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Très bien. And there was a little song that my French teacher taught me which sticks in my mind even to this day, and this is what, 25 years later, which goes like this. You have to get a little bit of a beat going on, but I'm not quite sure how I can do that on the video. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, chante avec moi, chante avec moi. 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. There's my cheesy little bit of a song which might help you with those first 10 numbers if you don't know them very well already, okay? And finally, how are we pronouncing this last word? Because remember, it's the same whether it's got an S on the end or not. How are we going to pronounce that? It is on, isn't it? Not an, but on, okay? And if you listen carefully to the way I'm saying it, I don't say on, do I? It's like the N is sitting in the back of my throat, on. Okay, so we don't really pronounce that N in a very hard way. Lovely. Right, it's been important to go through those sounds with you because we're going to do some listening today. Écoutons. Écoutons. Let's listen. Okay. So here is some useful vocabulary that's going to be helpful because it's not necessarily on the sentence builder or it's something that you might want a quick reminder of. Now, use this sentence builder if you need to. Have it open in a different tab. You can always rewind the video to find it, or you can print it at home like I've already said. You're going to hear me read a text out loud. It's going to be relatively slowly because it's our first one, and it's going to be in French. And there are a number of questions that I'd like you to try to answer about what you hear. Okay, so I'm pretending to be somebody called Nico, and you're going to listen out for these things. Where is Nico from? How old is he? What is his brother called? How old is his brother? What is his sister called? And how old is his sister? Okay, now it's important to let you know that you can use your sentence builder like I've said, but also you can pause and rewind the video as much as you feel you need to in order to find those answers. So please don't panic when you're listening the first time. My top tip is to write down any answers that you do hear. Just move straight on to the next one if you miss one, because otherwise you're going to miss the next one by concentrating too hard on what the previous one might have been. Okay, because you will at the end, like I say, have the opportunity to rewind and work through this at your own pace. Okay, so the pressure is not on like it would be in a classroom or an exam setting. So, without further ado, again, let's go. So the first thing you're listening for is where Nico is from. Now, this might feel a little tricky because we haven't done anything about where people are from. So we might want to listen out for something called a cognate. Now, those of you who've been in Mrs. Savage's class at school will know what a cognate is. If anybody hasn't been in Mrs. Savage's class, you probably know also. However, I'm just going to tell you, just to double check, a cognate is a word that sounds or looks the same in two different languages. So here, between English and French, okay? A near cognate is one that is similar, and you can guess what it means accurately from the similarity that that word holds between English and French. Okay, so that is going to help you with number one. Now, I did say without further ado, but actually now let's go. Je m'appelle Nico. Je suis argentin. J'ai 12 ans et j'habite à Buenos Aires, la capitale de l'Argentine. J'ai un frère qui s'appelle Antonio. Antonio a 14 ans. Ma sœur s'appelle Amélie et elle a 7 ans. Okay, so now's the time to pause, rewind, listen again if you've missed any of those. And then when you are ready to, you continue to play and I will go through the answers with you. Okay, so how did you find that, guys? Was it difficult? Was some of it difficult and some of it easy? Was it okay? Did you use your sentence builder? Were you able to recognize any of it without the sentence builder? Okay, just check in with yourself and think about how you attacked that exercise and how you're feeling about it now, because in several weeks' time, when we do more listening activities, I bet your bottom dollar you're going to feel a whole lot more confident about it. Okay, so let's go through these answers then. Where is Nico from? Well, I said, je m'appelle Nico, je suis argentin, and then I also said, j'habite à Buenos Aires, la capitale de l'Argentine. So did anybody pick up on any near cognates there? The answer is, he's from Buenos Aires in Argentina, or Buenos Aires we would call it. Okay, number two, how old is he? So the French was, j'ai 12 ans. J'ai 12 ans. He's 12. Number three, what is his brother called? Now, we had the word for brother on the sentence builder, so you may have had to go back and have a look at that. He says, j'ai un frère qui s'appelle Antonio. Okay, now if you didn't know any of that French, you do know that Antonio is a boy's name or a male name. So you could have had a good guess at that one, even without having that French. So sometimes there are some skills you can use to pick out information, even if you don't know all of the French surrounding it. Okay, so qui s'appelle Antonio? He is called Antonio. How old is his brother? Well, I went on to say Antonio a 14 ans. Antonio a 14 ans. He is 14. What is his sister called? So he goes on to the end. The last sentence is a little trickier because there wasn't a gap in between the two pieces of information there. But I said, ma sœur s'appelle Amélie. So my sister s'appelle is called Amélie. So she's called Amélie. And number 6, how old is his sister? And I went on to say, et elle a 7 ans. 1, 2, 3, chante avec moi. 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. 7 years old. How did you do? Let us know in the comments on Google Classroom if you fancy. Right, écoutons encore une fois. Let's listen again. Okay, and this time you're going to be listening out for my translation mistakes. Now, I am going to read out 10 sentences in French, all that are related to the sentence builder. Now, you may use the sentence builder if you wish, or if you'd like to challenge yourselves, maybe try and do this one without and see what you can do. You can always come back, listen again, and use the sentence builder to fill in any gaps, but it'd be really good to see what you're actually managing to pick up at this point. Okay, so yes, I'm going to read the French sentences and they relate to the same number English sentence, but I have not translated it correctly into English. Okay, so let's do the first one together and then you'll see what I mean. Okay, numéro 1, number 1. Je m'appelle Patricia. Je m'appelle Patricia. Okay, so what's wrong with my translation there? I said je m'appelle Patricia, but my translation says her name is Patricia. So what needs to change? I said je m'appelle, so the translation should be I am called or my name is Patricia. Okay, so you need to make sure that the English written down completely matches the French that I am saying. Okay, let's go for the rest without my help, and then I'll go through the answers afterwards. Numéro 2, number 2. J'ai 2 sœurs. J'ai 2 sœurs. Is that I have 2 brothers? Numéro 3, number 3. Ma sœur s'appelle Martine. Ma sœur s'appelle Martine. Numéro 4, number 4. Mon frère a 5 ans. Mon frère a 5 ans. Numéro 5. J'ai 15 ans. J'ai 15 ans. What's wrong with that one then? It says I am 5 years old. Numéro 6. Mon frère a 8 ans. Mon frère a 8 ans. Numéro 7. Is this I don't have a sister? Je n'ai pas de frère. Je n'ai pas de frère. Now you probably don't need to recognize how to say I don't have there. Numéro 8. J'ai 13 ans. J'ai 13 ans. Numéro 9, number 9. J'ai 12 ans. J'ai 12 ans. Et finalement, numéro 10, and finally number 10, il s'appelle Jean. Il s'appelle Jean. And a top tip there, that is how we pronounce that name in French, Jean. Okay, we would say Jean, they say Jean. Okay, lovely. Pause the video and rewind and listen again if you do need to. And if not, when you're ready, continue and I will go through the answers with you. Okay, well done folks. So here are the answers to that listing exercise. So what you have on the left is the original wrong translation, which you saw on the previous slide. In the middle, in the brackets and italics, is what I said. And then, so on the right-hand side, you have got the correct translation and therefore the answers for you to check for yourselves. Okay, what I said is there so that you can have a look back at it and make sense of what I said. Because the thing about French is that unlike Spanish, but much more like English, it is not a phonetic language. So what you hear doesn't sound a lot like how it is spelt. Okay, so it's really good for us to make those links so that we can start to get used to that in our minds and it becomes more automatic each time. Okay, so I'm just going to read through those sentences again really quickly in French, just so that you can hear them and see what they sound like at the same time. And after that, that will be our listening part finished for this week, and you will find some reading, some translation and some writing exercises on a worksheet uploaded, and also another cultural resource for your interest. So here we go. The first one is Je m'appelle Patricia. J'ai 2 sœurs. Ma sœur s'appelle Martine. Mon frère a 5 ans. J'ai 15 ans. Mon frère a 8 ans. Je n'ai pas de frère. J'ai 13 ans. J'ai 12 ans. Il s'appelle Jean. Okay, well done for this week, folks. Looking forward to seeing you next week with a little bit new content and some new words and vocabulary to learn. Enjoy the cultural side of things. Hopefully we can see some lovely crepe that you've made from last week's cultural part. And let's see what Mr. Kenton comes up with this week. Enjoy. Au revoir.